Hi everybody, Cynthia here. I'm back with another Pinterest inspired collaboration project that I do with my friend Misha at ScrapsandThings1. Hi Misha. I'm going to post a link below this video so you can head on over, check her out, subscribe, show her some YouTube love, and get some more inspiration. So as far as my Pinterest inspired projects go, I'm very behind. I'm not going to lie. And so I've decided that I'm just going to I'm going to start from here and just move forward. I'm not going to work backwards. It's just too many projects to get caught up on. So I decided to start with the Mother's Day card that we were supposed to do, a tea-themed Mother's Day card. And this is the one that inspired me. And hopefully y'all can see this. Isn't that cute? I love the flower on the teacup. This one's super simple. It says thinking of you. So you not only can do the card that I'm going to make for any theme, but you can do it for Mother's Day if you'd like. But I wanted to share a picture of it with you. And this one, I have a smaller teacup than the one I saw on Pinterest. But this is how my tea-themed Mother's Day card turned out. So we're going to make this one today. It's super simple. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm making a standard A7 size card. So what you're going to need for the card base is a sheet of cardstock that measures 10 by 7. And you're going to line it up at the 10 inch and score at 5 inches. I'm just going to fold this together. I really want to make a lot more cards this year and really kind of get my collection going, you know what I mean? Okay, so the first card mat, which is this blue color, that sheet measures 6.5 by 4.5. Now, we're going to do it so the card opens to the top and not, sorry, a lot of cards open this way. We're going to do it so it opens this way. Okay, so make sure the open part is at the bottom, and then you're going to want to put your mat on first here, and that mat measures 6.5 by 4.5. And I used my basket weave embossing mat by Cuttlebug. It's called Oxford. And I did it ahead of time so that it would save some time for us. So let me just get my card making tape out here. And run it along my edges. I love using dry embossing paper. I think it just, I don't know, adds a little something to the paper instead of just putting a plain piece down sometimes. And this one, I love this size. Most of my embossing folders are this size, you know, the smaller ones. So I'd really love to invest in the larger ones because then I don't have to worry about, you know, how big I make my cards. Okay, so then the polka dot piece here, this paper, measures 6 by 4. And like I said, you don't have to, since today's Mother's Day, you don't have to make it a Mother's Day themed card. You can use any stamp, you know, set up here in the left-hand corner. And we're going to place that on. Okay. And we're going to set this aside for a minute, and we're going to work with this white piece here. And the white piece that goes on top here measures 5.5 by 3.5. Now I did emboss, as you can see, this bottom part of the paper. So what I did was I went ahead and I stamped Happy Mother's Day in this top left-hand corner. Let me find my stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And I'm just using some Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that right here in the left-hand corner. Okay. Clean my stamp off. And set that aside. Whoop. Okay, now I'm going to get I used a Flourish embossing pad. And basically what I did was I put the bottom part of the card in, and I just lined up the embossing folder right underneath my sentiment there. So you can tell like how high or low I want it to go. And then when it looked about even to me, I went ahead and I just eyeballed this. You can measure it out if you want. That's, you know, entirely up to you. But I went ahead and I took a little bit of washi tape on both sides to make sure that it didn't move once I got it placed where I wanted it. Okay, so I'm going to do that again on this side. And then we're going to run it through my cuddle bug here. Okay, I'm going to get this set aside. And I'm just going to peel off the washi tape. And voila, we have our embossing. Now my embossing is a little bit higher on this side than this side, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to be putting ribbon around there. And also this is about 1/8 of an inch thick piece that I cut for trim from the paper that was left over here. Okay, but first thing we're going to lay our ribbon down. So I'm just going to add some glue. My ribbon is about 1/4 inch thick, but since we all don't have the same material, you guys can use whatever ribbon you'd like. And try and get that straight across as best I can. And then I'm just going to flip it around to the back, whatever's left over. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with my blue trim here. Add glue to the whole strip. And I'm going to go down a little bit below the ribbon so there's some white peeking through. And I'm just going to lay that down right on top of the embossing, and then just flip my edges around. Okay, so since this part is done, I'm going to turn it around and add my adhesive. And you can ink up your your dry embossing a little bit if you want. That's entirely up to you. I'm just going to lay this on here. Okay. Now for the teacup here, I'm going to show you a few things that I used. I used a stamp set from May Made It. I think it's called Beautiful. Let me see. I know there's, yeah, Beautiful. And I used the teacups and then the little tea bag stamp here, and it says for my bestie. I used this flower die, came with, not this here, but this flower die here came with these leaf petals, and I used a small leaf there. And then I also used, which I have in my possession, this flourish die, flourish leaf die right here. And I really honestly don't remember where I got it from because I've had this for a long time and I got rid of the packaging and I just have it on a magnet. Okay, so I stamped out my teacup and the little saucer that goes under it, and then I also stamped out my tea bag and stamped on that, and then I fussy cut all of this out, and I just want to color this little part of the paper so that it looks like I have tea in there. And I'm actually, the paper pad that I used for my pattern paper, it's from Pebbles and it's the Garden Party. I don't know if I showed you it or not. I know I showed it in another video. My bestie got me this, Misha, so thank you, Misha. But it's called Garden Party and it has really pretty patterns in there, so I'm hoping to use this on a lot of future projects. Okay, so now that I have it colored up, what I'm going to do is get some foam tape and flip this around. And I'll probably just put like 2 pieces on. And this dimensional foam tape, I get it at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so I'm going to peel this back. And before I add it to my card, as you can see here, I have the leaf flourish behind it, and then I have some of the flourish kind of wrapped above the tea cup itself. So I'm just going to take this and do the same thing. Make sure I place it so that that part isn't showing there, which you really, since you have this tape, you do not want to press down until you have it in the exact spot you want it, or it'll be really hard to peel back up like it is for me right now. But I actually think this is a good thing, because you guys can see I struggle just like everyone else. Okay. I want to make sure this pops up about there, and this one I want it to curl around, and this one I don't want you to see, so I'm just going to tuck that away. Okay. So I pretty much put the flourish on the back of it. And now I'm going to just add a little extra hot glue. And I'm going to place my teacup right about here, so that the handle kind of goes to the edge and it's actually above my ribbon. And then this I'm going to glue directly onto the card underneath the flourish here. I'm just going to get some liquid glue. And I'm going to slide that in underneath and get it placed where I think it'll look good, and then press down. Okay, so it looks like that. And then I'll show you really quick how I put this flower together, but first I'm going to glue on my tea bag. And I want to make sure this top part is like in the tea, and this is kind of hanging off the mug here to the left, like that. Okay, so I have one of those leaf petals I told you about, and I'm just gonna take my stylus tool and my mat here, and on the back of it I'm just gonna run it down like a strip down and kind of dry emboss it myself, just to give it a little character. Okay, set that aside. And then I used these two flower petal punches. I used 2 petals from this size and 2 from the small. So this is the medium and the small. And these are the Paper Studio I got at Hobby Lobby quite a long time ago. So I have 2 of the larger ones from the pattern paper. I'm going to glue those together. And I'm just going to offset the petals a little. And then I have one in the blue colored cardstock for the center. And I have another one in plaid that matches the teacup. And I'm going to offset those petals. So when you get them all glued together, it looks like this, kind of flat, right? So just go in and kind of raise the petals up. Just kind of pull them up towards you. The whole thing. Each petal. No, you don't really have to take a whole lot of time to emboss it. The only one I didn't really raise was the bottom petals. Just got in with my tweezer and pulled towards the center of the flower. Pinched it, pushed. So you kind of pinch and push towards the center and lift at the same time. If you're sending it in the mail, or even when you put it in the envelope, it's going to kind of squish down anyway, but it still gives it a little oomph, you know, a little life, so it's not super flat. Okay. And I'm just going to add a little dab hot glue there. And I'm going to place it on my teacup right about, I think right about there looks good. And then the leaf, what I did was I'm kind of going to put it underneath the cup, but I thought it was a little too big for that size. So I just went ahead and I trimmed off the back a little bit. So it looks like that. Add some liquid glue. and place it underneath the tea cup, right about there. And just use my bone folder, take it underneath and press it down. So it looks like that, and you can see it from the side as dimension. And then I have one of these white flat back pearls. So put glue in the center there and add my pearl to the center of the flower. And then I went ahead and I got some different colored sequins, and I'm going to place 3 up here and 3 down here. And there's just 2 more steps after we do this. Alright, pop those right in the glue. I love adding sequins to cards. I don't know, I just think it gives it a little oomph. You know, if your card's a little bit plain, doesn't have tons of fun folds and different patterns of paper, it's a nice way to just spruce up your card. Okay, so instead of adding ink to my embossing, I did want to bring it out. So I just went ahead with my glitter glue and I just lightly glued the dry embossing. And I just have clear Studio G glitter glue. So I'm just going to go over that. Just a little bit. You don't want to, do it too thick and heavy because you don't want to warp your paper. Just kind of want to bring the dry embossing to life a little bit. If you have a Wink Stella pen, you could probably use that. There's also those glitter jelly roll pens. You know, whatever you have available to you. Or like I said, you could just run a little bit of ink on it with your ink pad if you wanted to bring it out, or leave it plain. Entirely up to you. I just love me a little sparkle. Okay, so kind of brought that to life. And the only thing that's left is to add our ink lines. As you can see, I added some squiggly lines all the way around the edge of the card. And that I just took my black pen. I'm using a little really fine mini Sharpie pen. And I just start at the top and I kind of drag my hand. And then just swirl back and forth, like a squiggle line. Just like that. And I'm going to turn it and do the same thing. Back, forth, or right, left. Just draw like a little wave. Same thing here. I do mine really slow and 1 line at a time because I'm not that great at this, and if I try to go too fast, I really mess it up. Okay, now I'm going to draw my second line, and it's going to kind of cross over the first line as I go. So I'm going to start opposite and just kind of cross them here and there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, just kind of draw some squiggly lines. Give the card a little character. And I'm going to do it here. And we have one more. And I'm not going to stamp on the inside of my card because I'm going to write, a long sentiment on the inside. But that's it, guys. That is my tea-themed Happy Mother's Day card. I wish you all a very happy Mother's Day to those of you that celebrate. And if you're a fur baby mama like me, happy Mother's Day to you as well. Because you know our fur babies are our babies. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. I hope you give this card style a try. And like I said, you don't have to stamp Happy Mother's Day. You can use any, sentiment up in here you want. And thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Happy crafting.